What's a company's secret you can share now that you don't work there? Health insurance, dude. When you file a claim, it is often denied because they're counting on you not escalating it. Once you do, your case goes to a medical management group, which ought to be called the We Don't Want to Pay group. Keep escalating and involve your doctor. Fight for the insurance you paid for. Can confirm. Busted my knee, was on crutches BC I couldn't walk on it. Was denied BC they felt I wasn't in enough pain BC I didn't require a painkiller prescription. DR went back and forth and I was on crutches 2 months before they finally relented and I could get my surgery. Mortgage industry here, we're like cops, only answer the question asked. Do not provide additional information to be helpful, it could screw you over. What are examples that screw people over? Can I please get your most recent pay stub please? Sure. Here's the last year. Also, I was off work this time to this time, and was technically let go and rehired, so the year to date starts over cool. Now you haven't been employed for a full 6-month time period and I have to deny you. Oprah Winfrey had us edit her arm waddles in post-production. I fucking love this one. This isn't a company secret, but I worked part-time at a Domino's franchise in college. The owner was, at first glance, a short-tempered, critical penny pincher who did everything he could to save business money, right down to watching over your shoulder to make sure you didn't put too much cheese on a pizza. Cheese is called white gold in the pizza industry, even back in 2002, but after working for him for a while, you realized why he was so specific about the margins. Twice yearly, he would send out generous bonuses in the form of money orders made out to his employees from his own personal savings account to the college students working for him. The checks or money orders contain the memo line "Keep learning." The amount of the money orders would be directly correlated to the profit margins of the stores he owned. The dude did legit profit sharing. After I graduated, I heard a rumor that he was trying to start up a small education grant trust that would benefit applicants of the Farmers School of Business at Miami University, but I don't think anything ever came of it. This owner also played favorites when hiring. Every single one of his managers was a former employee. 3 of the 4 managers at his stores when I worked there had graduated from my college with business degrees. All 4 of them had a small portion of their education paid for by Marvin Covington. Marvin Covington, Oxford, Ohio Domino's owner from Vevey, Indiana, died in 2017. That dude knew how to do business, and do it right. It would be a very sweet idea if you guys could band together to establish some sort of bursary for the school in his memory. Dude was clearly very passionate about education, and in this day and age it's nigh impossible to find someone in management who actually cares about their staff enough to profit share. If the staff are largely business grads, surely some of them have managed to make enough money in their careers that this could be possible. It would be a great way to honor his memory. I worked at L'Oreal. The cosmetics from L'Oreal and Lancome are practically the same, but Lancome costs like $20 more. I worked at Olive Garden in the mid-90s while I was in college. Back then, they had the all-you-can-eat soup, salad and breadsticks lunch special for like $4.25 plus tax. Working lunch shifts sucked. You would get probably 2 or 3 tables, and there was a 99% chance that all of your tables were 2 ladies getting this lunch special with water during their lunch break. After about a year, several of our best servers were mysteriously fired. It turns out, they were running a scam where they used the same receipt over and over again when these ladies paid for their meal with cash. Since we could get those 3 items ourselves from the back without ringing them into the system, these servers were just pocketing the cash for the entire meal. So instead of making like $5 to $8 in tips during a lunch shift like the rest of us dumb schmucks, they would make an extra $20 or so by stealing from the company. T-Mobile has 2 coverage maps. The one they show customers and the real one that is internal shows the actual coverage. Diminishes by about 50%. Their coverage is built on a bed of lies. I used to work in college admissions. Rich donors, athletes, and other VIPs have lower admission criteria. They still have minimums, but they're super easy to reach even for a selective university. In the case of the university I worked for, BYU, Children of General Church authorities also got this. Diet Sprite and Sprite Zero were the exact same thing. They didn't change the recipe one bit. They just changed the name and design. I've always assumed this, but it's nice to get confirmation. This Mormon church likes to talk about how much charity they do, but it's always tied to some form of missionary work or proselytizing. Particularly in UT, they would secure housing, furniture, food etc. to Iraqi refugees, and in exchange, these poor people who have had their whole life uprooted would have to be visited by and listen to missionaries drone on and on about the Mormon religion, and having the gall to ask these Muslim refugees if they want to get baptized after a few weeks. I know this because I, non-Mormon, was dating a Mormon girl back then, and I was asked to translate for the Iraqi families. I speak Arabic. Of course I never did. I told them the whole scam, and told the Iraqis to act interested so they can keep getting charity. We scammed the scammers basically LL. I worked at a comic book store that offered a service where you paid a small premium to have sent in rare comics to have them graded at CGC. A few months later we had many customers coming in to check the status of their comics. We contacted the owner to see what was going on, and he would always claim that there was some distribution problem. Fast forward a few months, we found out he was taking customers' graded copies and selling them online while trying to return back issue versions of their original comics. How did this dude think that comic collectors who were sending in comics to be graded wouldn't recognize they weren't receiving their original comic back? Lol. I'm sure if you newer to the hobby wouldn't be the wiser, but man, that's what we all said. My friend and I were managers and had absolutely no idea this was happening. It was a smaller town comic shop and all the customers sending in comics to be graded were good friends of ours. But the plot gets thicker. Turns out his wife was signed for the business, so the owner wasn't really the owner. We called her and explained what was happening. She was in tears. She came to shop to meet the wronged customers and she took graded comics from the owner's collection and let the customers pick out comics to equal to the value of their graded comics in return for the mishap. Fast forward a few months, she closed the store, gave us our paychecks and even some I'm sorry money. It turns out the guy was doing all kinds of other shady shit. She divorced him, and I'm like 99% sure he went to jail for fraud. He's also banned from CGC and all of the licensed big Comic Cons lol. So don't worry, he lost that battle. At least it sounds like his wife was a decent person and tried to make it right, because yeesh. I am so sad for her though. Running a comic shop was probably her dream, only for it to be ruined by the person who should have had her back the most being a complete piece of shit. I worked for a major hotel chain in housekeeping for over 10 years. The number of suicides and people who die naturally in their rooms is a lot higher than you'd think. I worked at a huge convention hotel with over 1,000 rooms and it happened quite often. Unless it was a pretty gnarly mess, it would just get cleaned like normal and the next guest had no idea. At one of the hotels I worked at, a woman killed herself by drinking antifreeze. Her body was blue, blood, vomit, and poop everywhere. My friend who was maintenance saw it and couldn't sleep that night. Working at hotels will change you. Drinking antifreeze is a bad way to go. 1 gallon of milk, 1 full bottle of Monin vanilla syrup and 0.6 of a pound of espresso brewed. Now freeze it. Boom! Joe Muggs frozen cappuccino. I read that as 1 full bottle of Motrin and was very concerned. At a local deli or grocery store I worked at, everyone raved about how good their mac and cheese is, and it always sold really quick when I worked in the deli. It's even labeled on the menu as, Store's famous mac and cheese. It's literally just Stouffer's, we didn't even add anything to it. If you were on live chat with customer care, I could see what you were typing before pressing send. I watched people work through grotesque, racist, sexist statements, fraudulent lies and mistruths, meticulous grammar fixes, and their whole range of emotions in real time before deleting and typing OK. Guilty. The worst part is, I know they can see it. Yeah, I started typing my responses in Notepad and pasting them over because of my need to be seen as an adult. Had a friend who worked for a bridal dress company. She would tell me all her stories after work. They intentionally will bring back the wrong dress in attempts to get you to try it on, fall in love, and buy a more expensive wedding dress. They'll walk you through the more expensive sections so you look through dresses out of your budget and want to try them on. They often forget to check if the dress you requested is in stock for the time frame you've requested, again so that you'll have to pay more for faster shipping or a nicer dress. It's a very predatory business masked by compliments, thinly veiled body shaming, and incredibly underpaid and understaffed stores. I don't think it's a bad secret at all. But back in college, I delivered pizzas for Papa John's. The store manager must have had an undiagnosed case of OCD or germophobia or something. Because every night, he would assign someone to do the cleaning duties, mopping floors, double-checking expiration date or throwing away expired stuff, etc. And every night, he would absolutely lose his temper and berate whoever was doing the cleaning. They were going too fast, they weren't cleaning everything, whatever. After that, he'd always take over the cleaning himself. He was amazingly picky about the cleanliness and food quality. Expiration date is 3 days from now? Fuck that, I'll order more. Throw that shit away, we're not serving it. He would also go out of pocket to buy special cleaning products because that worthless bullshit that corporate wants us to use doesn't get the job done. He also went out of pocket to hire some kind of specialist to clean out the fountain drink dispenser, ice machine, and all that stuff. The machine needs to always be as close to brand new as possible. One standout moment for me was when he reduced a cashier to tears by hollering, "Would you eat off this floor?" No? Then it's not clean enough. He wasn't telling her to eat off the floor. He was just making a point. After we'd close the store, he'd kick all of us out, lock up behind us and stay until something like 2 a.m. cleaning the place. You always knew when he closed because you could smell the chemical scent still lingering in the air. The end result of this was the store, the food, the equipment and the facilities were always in squeaky clean condition. Customers, somehow, picked up on what a perfectionist the store manager was and bought from us all the time. Because there's a lot of peace of mind that goes in with knowing your food was cooked by someone willing to throw ingredients away before the expiration date, stay in the store until God knows when cleaning everything, etc. The true irony was how much the boss hated himself because he didn't think he was doing a good enough job to run a clean restaurant with fresh ingredients. It didn't matter how many compliments he got from customers or how many service industry veterans said they'd never worked in a place as obsessive about freshness and cleanliness as his Papa John's store. He was convinced his store was still a filthy barn. Eventually, he got promoted to some kind of higher-level corporate position, district manager, that required him to visit other stores and make sure they were all up to spec. The end result of that was a lot of stores in this area all improved seemingly overnight. Just admit you worked for Los Palos Hermanos. Thank you for watching. In the comments below the video you can write what secret of the company you can share now that you don't work there.